Hello and welcome to another tip for ancestry in the age of AI. You'll notice that I'm already in the page for one of my ancestors in Find My Past. The name is Frank Joseph Andrew Allery. He was one of my great uncles, and I'm now going to use ChatGPT to transform all that I know about Frank into a character sketch, which is something that ChatGPT can do quite well if you give it all the data. So over here in ChatGPT, and I'm just using 3.5 today, which is the fastest model and the free one, I have begun my prompt with, "You are a trained genealogist with special skills in analysing and summarising ancestral records to create character sketches of ancestors from information sourced from research. Please write a short character sketch for this ancestor." So I've gathered all of the information that I know about Great Uncle Frank and put it all into a Google Doc, as you'll see over here. Quite a lot of information that I've gathered from the research that I've done from his birth right through his occupations in 1911, 1921, 1939, his time as a soldier in the First World War, and right through to his death in 1976 at the age of 87. So I'm now asking for all of that information to be transformed into a character sketch. So I need to copy all of my data, which I've put together, and paste that here in ChatGPT. And then execute the prompt. And you'll see it now working at lightning speed, giving me exactly that, a character sketch of Frank Joseph Andrew Allery. That was a bit fast. Let me go back and let's have a look at what he has to say. And I often call ChatGPT he. So goes from his birth date in 1888 to his parents, Samuel and Jemima. And it neatly put in place the fact that prior to Frank's birth, Samuel and Mary had already welcomed 5 children into the family because Frank was from a very large family. It then goes on to talk about how he went on to become a tailor like his father, and the time he was living alongside his parents and his siblings, and it mentions the 5 brothers. And later on in life, which is quite true, the brothers established a business called the Allery Brothers. Decorators was the thing that was missing there, but specialising in house building trade. Then from the details that I had of Frank from his war service records, I was able to give a description of him, which ChatGPT is now reframing for me and telling us that he served as a soldier in World War I, enlisting at the age of 30 in 1916, and he was a private in the East Surrey Regiment, soldier number, and prior to his enlistment, Frank worked as a mantle presser. That gives me another little probing question: what was a mantle presser? More research. Then it describes the fact that he was wounded by a gunshot wound to his thigh, and this was in a place called Cambria. I'm pretty sure that's in France, but I need more research to double check that, of course. But all of this is coming from the prompt details that I've given. And he was discharged in 1919 to the hospital in Manchester. In 1921, Frank's marriage to Mabel Constance Braganza, and the fact that I now know that her father, John, was born in Germany, that's mentioned there. their address is mentioned. And at this point, his occupation was listed as a painter and decorator. And they did not have any children of their own. 1939, Frank and Mabel had relocated, and he continued to work as a painter and decorator. Then information about his death, that he passed away at the age of 87 in Kent, where the service was, which I had from his burial and cremation details, and the fact that his ashes were later interred at the Honor Oak Crematorium, which I later found out was Camberwell, where I assume the other members of his family, like his wife Mabel, who passed away before him. And then a final little paragraph about Frank. So I now have a neat little character description of Frank Joseph Andrew Allery.